Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasani Balachandra.
And I am Tilina Udayaratna. For starters, we take a look at tonight's top stories.
The COVID cluster at Brandix increases to 1,034. Curfew imposed in 18 police divisions in Gampaha until further notice. The Grade 5 Scholarship and GC Advanced Level examinations will be conducted as scheduled. The President reiterates the need to direct workers with internationally acknowledged qualifications to the foreign job market. A disparity in the evidence given by retired senior DIG M.R. Latif to the Easter Sunday Attacks Commission. Signs of the spread of COVID-19 amongst the staff of President Donald Trump.
And on your top local story this evening, the total number of COVID-19 patients identified in the cluster at Deulapitia has increased to 1,034. Measures are underway to direct those who have had contact with the patients for quarantine. By the 5th of this month, the total number of identified patients in Deulapitia was just at 101. A further 731 COVID-19 patients were detected yesterday. 202 patients have been identified today. Accordingly, the total number of patients in the COVID cluster in Deulapitia has reached 1,034. More than 350 COVID-19 patients reported from the Gampaha area have been hospitalized today. They have been directed to COVID-19 treatment centers in Valikanda, Kamburugamuwa, Teldeniya and Ramukkana. Those who are regarded as associates of the identified patients have been subject to self-quarantine. PCR tests are also being carried out. Employees of the Deulapitia factory, other than those identified as COVID-19 patients, have been brought to the Veyangoda Army headquarters. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva said that there have been reports of workers arriving at Brandix from India. The Army Commander said that it has been confirmed that such a group had not visited the factory. Meanwhile, during random PCR tests conducted at the Brandix factory in Valisara, one person afflicted with COVID-19 has been found. 20 members at the Mahasen Navy camp in Valisara have been directed to quarantining centers in Mihintale. The reason being a member of a family with the COVID-19 patient attending an interview to recruit Navy personnel. The two patients confirmed of being afflicted with COVID-19 in Nelumdeniya and Varakapula were brought to a COVID-19 treatment hospital in Ramukkana. Both these patients were employees of the Brandix apparel industry. Close associates of the COVID-19 patients identified at the Brandix factory have been subject to PCR tests at the Gampaha District Hospital. Close associates of the patient in Batapola Ambalangoda, who was an employee at the factory, were also subject to quarantine. Their residences and loitering places have been sterilized. A 20-year-old youth who was employed at the Brandix Institute in Gampaha has also been afflicted with COVID-19. He was transferred to the IDH in Colombo from the teaching hospital in Kurunagala. Members of 9 families who have had close contact with a COVID-19 patient from Ahaliaguda, also an employee of Brandix, were subject to self-quarantine. PCR tests, meanwhile, are conducted and will be conducted on 20 persons in Pasyala and Halkandavilla. These PCR tests were conducted for those who have attended a funeral ceremony in Ekala, Jayala recently. The reason being persons in Gampaha and Deulapitia attending the same funeral. A female employee of the factory residing in Alpitia was also afflicted with COVID-19. Close associates of the patient are to be quarantined and subject to PCR testing. PCR tests have also been conducted on 2 persons who have left service at the Deulapitia garment factory. Investigations have revealed that the couple have recently arrived in Tangol. 2 employees of Brandix residing in Kandanghena and Gurugoda in Horana were also afflicted with the disease. PCR tests on 59 family members and close associates of the 2 workers have also been subject to PCR tests. Island-wide random PCR tests are being carried out continuously due to the existing situation of the pandemic. 70 such tests were conducted at the Lankapura Divisional Director of Health Services Office in the Polonnaruwa district. The Sri Lanka National Eye Hospital informs patients receiving treatment at the hospital that only the patients attending clinical and emergency treatment should arrive at the hospital. Issuance of tickets to arrive at wildlife parks under the Ministry of Wildlife has been temporarily suspended. The Minister of Health says that funeral ceremonies and weddings should be conducted under protective health measures. Recommendations will have to be obtained from the Medical Officer of Health and Public Health Inspectors in the relevant areas on the number of persons attending such ceremonies. The Minister of Health says a COVID-19 patient who escaped from the Ragama Teaching Hospital has returned to the hospital.
Chief Epidemiologist Dr. Sudat Samaraveera says that the transmission of the virus among the Minuangada COVID-19 patients to others is extremely high, as the virus is highly infectious than in previous cases due to the behavioral pattern changes of the virus. He also said that persons with COVID-19 symptoms should reach out to relevant authorities over these conditions without fearing the social stigmas associated with the disease. He made these remarks while briefing on the present situation related to the COVID-19 cluster.
The epidemiology unit has taken the immediate measures soon after we were informed the first case of the COVID-19 case from this cluster to identify all the people that are working in this apparel factory who has gone to their residences and who are staying there. So because of that we could locate many of these people and they were quarantined and PCR testing has been done. So because of that a number of cases has been identified out of the Gampaha district in the many of the districts. So with that we have taken the necessary measures to quarantine all the contacts of these patients, and so because of that we think that it will not spread to these areas and it will be contained at this level. This COVID-19 is a viral disease. It is not anybody's fault to get this disease. It is natural, so it can be transmitted very easily from a person to person as a droplet infection. So because of the somebody is having COVID-19 should not be afraid of or ashamed of. So all the people that who are having the contact with this Brandix cluster or the Brandix apparel factory in Minuangada should volunteer and get self-isolated and self-quarantined in their residences, and also should inform the area PHI and the MOH. Then these people will take the measures to quarantine them and also to get admitted if they are positive, and also give the other health advices and other instructions. So because of that nobody should be ashamed of, and at the quarantine centers they will be given a fair deal of service and they will be comfortable there, and it is a great service to our country that they are doing that volunteering and that are declaring their whereabouts and their movements with the Brandix industry, that's this factory. And also that we have taken measures not to publicize of these people or to publicize the identity of these people. So because of that no one should be get afraid of that they will be publicized and marginalized because of this. So because of that we kindly request all the people that who are having any link to the Brandix factory in Minuangada, please volunteer and come forward.
The Ministry of Education says that the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination and the GC Advanced Level Examination will be conducted on the scheduled days. Accordingly, the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination will be held on the 11th and the GC Advanced Level Examination on the 12th of this month. Minister of Education Professor G.L. Piris at a media briefing at the Department of Government Information today said that preparations have already been made to conduct the examinations on a more secured manner according to the systematic health procedures. Minister of Education Professor G.L. Piris said that after careful consideration of all factors concerned, the government has decided to conduct these examinations on scheduled dates. Transportation of students sitting for the examinations from Gampaha to other districts will be carried out with utmost care. A comprehensive program has also been prepared with regards to examination candidates arriving in Gampaha. He added that measures in this regard have been taken after discussions with the Transport Board. Special centres are to be set up for exam candidates who are being subject to quarantine.
ශිෂ්‍යයන් සඳහා විශේෂ මධ්‍යස්ථාන පිළියෙල කිරීමටත් අපි වැඩ කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා.
ෆෝරමයක් හැදුවා.
Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, said that a form has been prepared to obtain information on students, details relating to the recent health conditions of the students and where the students have travelled are to be received. The information will be fed into the website of the Ministry of Education. All details are to be updated daily with effect from the 12th of October.
The police headquarters say quarantine curfew has been imposed in 18 police divisions in the Gampaha district until further notice.
Initially, we imposed curfew in two police areas such as Dulapitiya and Minuwangoda. Then thereafter, by analysing the situation and COVID positive cases, it was extended to Meyangoda and thereafter Gampaha police area. But this morning we extended the curfew for 17 police stations including Jamila and Kadana. And this afternoon again we imposed curfew in Siduwa police area. So therefore now the curfew, quarantine curfew has been imposed in 18 police areas in Gampaha district. And we have implemented mobile patrols, put patrols and apart from that roadblock in order to restrict the movement of general public. So we don't have any intention to hurt anybody or to restrict their movements, but this is the only remedy that could be taken in order to prevent a spreading of COVID-19. And in addition to that, we have arrested 64 suspects in this connection. Those suspects have violated quarantine rules and regulations, especially the quarantine curfew. And on the other hand, it has been revealed that some persons, especially the employees of Brandex, they were reluctant to divulge the truth and they were reluctant to inform the health authorities their whereabouts. So we are going to take stern action against the persons who don't divulge the truth, and especially if a person hides suspected symptoms in respect of COVID-19, legal actions will be taken against them. So therefore our humble request is to the general public or the inmates of the areas where the quarantine curfew has been imposed that you should strictly adhere with quarantine curfew. As of today, we have received 832 COVID positive cases. It means this would be the biggest cluster in comparison to the clusters that occurred in the past. So therefore, we need to be dealt with quarantine rules and regulation with the employees who worked at Brandex factory in Minuwangoda area. So therefore, we made a request to them to be assembled at certain points in order to ascertain their health conditions, and the health authorities will decide future actions that are taken in respect of them. So therefore, this request is still valid, and we request all the employees who worked at Brandex factory Minuwangoda to assemble at the points that we have mentioned in our media release. If a person do not adhere with this quarantine order, so they will be dealt with the quarantine law and strict actions will be taken against them.
The Judicial Commission has already forwarded necessary instructions to the judiciary pertaining to providing alternate dates on cases being heard in areas where curfew is imposed. Advice has also been given on display of notices in this connection in the court premises. The Department of Government Information, in a communique issued today, says that accordingly, after the curfew period, the clients are able to go to the relevant court complexes on the rescheduled days of hearings following health guidelines. The Judicial Services Commission has already informed all courts on protective health measures to be implemented in connection with the COVID-19 pandemic. Administrative and operational control rooms of the Inspector General of Police have been established to provide relevant information with regard to controlling of the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. They have been set up in the premises of police headquarters in Colombo. Several special telephone numbers have been provided. The direct telephone number of the IGP control room is 1933. The other telephone numbers are 011 5978 701, 011 5978 719, 011 5978 737, 011 5978 703, 011 5978 722, and 011 2472 757. The telephone number of the police headquarters is 011 242 1111. The fax number is 011 234 5553. The mobile phone number is 071 8592 717. The telephone numbers of the COVID-19 IGP operating room are 011 244 4480, 011 244 4481, 011 597 8716, and 011 5978 731. And now to take a look at the global situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Global confirmed cases of COVID-19 crossed the 36 million mark today, while the death toll exceeded 1.055 million at present. Meanwhile, the head of the World Health Organization mentioned that a vaccine against COVID-19 may be prepared by the year end without elaborating on the details of the vaccine. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus made the announcement while addressing the end of a two-day meeting of its executive board on the pandemic.
We will need vaccines, and there is hope that by the end of this year we may have a vaccine. There is hope.
According to the organization, 9 experimental vaccines are in the pipeline under the WHO-led COVAX Global Vaccine Facility, which aims to distribute 2 billion doses by the end of 2021. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases in the Americas covered nearly half of the global total to reach over 17.17 million. Southeast Asia and Europe reported more than 7.48 million and 6.33 million cases respectively. The United States topped all countries in the world in confirmed coronavirus cases and deaths. The country reported more than 7.72 million cases and 215,000 deaths. India and Brazil are the second and third countries with the most cases, reporting over 6.75 million and 4.97 million cases respectively. India has seen a consistent decrease both in the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths registered per day this month. In Sao Paulo, the epicenter of Brazil's pandemic, schools are reopening after months of suspension since March. However, limits have been set on class occupancy at 20% along with other social distancing rules. Other Latin American countries such as Colombia, Peru and Argentina also reported high numbers of confirmed coronavirus cases, which exceed 869,000, 832,000 and 824,000 respectively. In Russia, the cumulative number of coronavirus cases has grown to 1.24 million, including 21,865 deaths and 988,576 recoveries. Along with many other European countries, Russia has been witnessing a steep growth in COVID-19 cases over the past weeks after many restrictions were lifted and people gathered in large groups during the summer holiday season. Meanwhile, Africa reported a total of 1.5 million COVID-19 cases thus far. In Nigeria, a locally developed COVID-19 rapid test kit is in the final approval phase by the regulatory bodies. The kit is said to be about 10 times cheaper than the PCR testing method currently being used.
Now, in more COVID-19 news, in a shocking move one day after leaving the hospital from a COVID-19 infection, President Trump ordered Republicans to walk away from economic stimulus talks.
In a move that stunned Washington and Wall Street Tuesday, President Donald Trump put the kibosh on negotiations with Democrats over additional economic stimulus for a nation reeling from a health crisis with millions of Americans unemployed. In a series of tweets, Trump wrote, quote, "I have instructed my representatives to stop negotiating until after the election, when immediately after I win, we will pass a major stimulus bill that focuses on hardworking Americans and small business." The decision to back away from talks came as a surprise. There were many who thought Trump's hospitalization last week due to his COVID-19 infection would make a deal more likely. But one day after his release from the hospital, that appears not to be the case. Markets quickly tumbled on the news, with the airline sector particularly hit hard. Airlines have already started laying off tens of thousands of their employees and are begging for additional financial help to offset the plummet in air travel caused by the health crisis. But it's not airlines alone that need help. Hours before Trump ended the talks, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell told a group of business economists that more stimulus from the federal government is a must.
The risks of overdoing it seem, for now, to be smaller. Even if policy actions ultimately prove to be greater than needed, they will not go to waste. The recovery will be stronger and move faster if monetary policy and fiscal policy continue to work side by side to provide support to the economy until it is clearly out of the woods.
As of Monday, the Democrats were pushing a wide-ranging $2.2 trillion stimulus package with aid for the jobless, industries large and small, and for health care. Republicans have wanted a smaller $1.6 trillion package. Trump, in a tweet, blamed House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for the breakdown, but Pelosi fired back in a statement saying Trump's decision to walk away from stimulus talks shows the White House is in, quote, complete disarray, and Trump is putting himself first at the expense of the country. Trump's decision to pull the plug on the stimulus talks comes amid new polls showing him losing ground to Joe Biden in national polls as well as in some key battleground states.
Taking a look at more local stories, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa instructs relevant officials to expedite and streamline the process of sending skilled labor with international recognized qualifications and certificates for foreign employment. President Rajapaksa has pointed out that a mechanism of this nature will be instrumental in securing higher benefits to both the employee and the country. The President made these remarks at a meeting to discuss future activities of the State Ministry of Foreign Employment Promotions and Market Diversification held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The demand for skilled workers in the global job market remains high. Emphasizing the need to implement training programs targeting job markets in countries such as Korea and Japan, President advised the Foreign Employment Bureau and the Vocational Training Authority to formulate joint strategies. Employment opportunities in North European countries, including Poland and Romania, are now open to Sri Lanka. A workforce meeting demands in such markets should be created, President said. The President also highlighted the importance of identifying overseas employment opportunities that are available for graduates of the country. 17 training centers have begun to establish a pool of trained labor needed for the overseas job market to provide them with the opportunity to enhance their language skills and to acquire required training with the aim of sending a greater number of trained workers abroad. The President also instructed the Bureau of Foreign Employment to hold discussions with the relevant agencies and sectors to extend the employment contracts of workers who are unable to return to the motherland due to the COVID-19 situation, though their employment contracts have expired. State banks must stand on workers' behalf to facilitate remittance on their foreign exchange earnings. Head of the Presidential Task Force on Economic Revival, Basil Rajapaksa, said that this endeavor can be promoted by introducing more attractive and creative schemes. Head of the task force, Basil Rajapaksa, also said that state banks can implement a mechanism to deliver foreign exchange remittances sent by migrant workers to their respective homes. President Rajapaksa stated that the prime objective of sending workers abroad is not to earn foreign exchange but to provide them with a better standard of living. Minister Nimal Siripal de Silva, State Minister Priyanka Rajaratna, Secretary to the President P. Vijayasundara, and Secretaries to Cabinet and State Ministries, heads of line institutions were also present at the discussion.
The Presidential Commission has decided to issue a notice on retired senior DIG M.R. Latif, who was the commander of the Police Special Task Force at the time of the Easter Sunday attacks. The reason for issuing the notice was the disparities in the evidence he had given earlier. M.R. Latif appeared before the Presidential Commission investigating into the Easter Sunday attacks for the second day today. On this occasion, Senior State Attorney inquired on the 15-minute telephone conversation Latif had conducted with the then Director of State Intelligence Service, Nilanta Jayawardena, before the day of the Easter Sunday attacks. A former secretary to a ministry and a member of the Presidential Commission had made an inquiry from Latif pertaining to conducting investigations by the STF on a group of extremists including Zahran after a clash at the Aliyar junction in 2017. Latif had replied saying that the purpose of the STF is not to look into intelligence information. The task is entrusted upon the State Intelligence Service. Then the president of the commission had questioned the former DIG and asked whether he was trying to say that the STF Intelligence Division did not investigate into Islamic extremism. The answer of Latif was that they did not investigate. With that reply, the president of the commission focused the attention of the witness on 3 investigative reports of Zahran published by the STF's Intelligence Division in the Eastern Province. Then the Justice, President of the Presidential Commission, has asked Latif whether he has stated that the intelligence officials had carried out irresponsible work by saying that the STF Intelligence Division was not involved in investigations. The answer was no. The President of the Commission inquired as to why the 3 reports were not presented when there had been orders to hand over to the Commission all STF investigation reports on Zahran. DIG MR Latif said that he had not seen such reports and that he does not know whether they have arrived at the headquarters. He also said that he came across the name National Tawheed Jamaat but never heard of the name Zahran until the 9th of April. He also said that he came to know Zahran after an incident in Teldinya in 2018. Then the president of the commission has inquired whether he has given false evidence before the commission previously. Latif was silent for a moment and said that he never knew that Zahran was a terrorist. The president of the commission said that taking into consideration the evidence, measures will be taken to issue notices on him once again. The commission has also questioned former Army Commander General Mahesh Senanayake, who was the Army Chief during the Easter Sunday attacks. The retired Army Commander has given evidence from the state of Dubai over video technology.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the Prime Minister's Office of the Government of Good Governance had spent a sum of 14.1 million rupees for a group of FCID officials to go abroad during the period 2015 to 2019. He further says that a further 33 million rupees had been spent as salaries and allowances for a group of employees engaged in services at the Anti-Corruption Office operated from the Temple Trees during the Good Governance era. The Prime Minister has disclosed these facts responding to a query raised in Parliament. An opportunity has been accorded for the first time in the 9th Parliament for the members of Parliament to ask questions from the Prime Minister. The parliamentarians have raised queries on many issues from the Prime Minister on this occasion. Parliamentarian Buddhika Pathirana said that the tobacco company is looking into alternate products as a result of decline of the sale of cigarettes in the country. He added that they have selected cannabis as the best substitute. The parliamentarian further said that they are engaged in efforts to socialize the medicinal qualities of this item utilizing numerous methods. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that although there have been evidence on the decline of cigarette sale, no information has been received pertaining to finding alternate products. The Prime Minister further said that no information has been received regarding selecting cannabis as an appropriate alternative. However, at present, measures are underway to change attitudes relating to the alternate substances through internet and social media. He added that steps are underway to halt such activities and they hope to take legal action against the culprits based on advice of the Attorney General.
Attorneys at law representing former minister of a previous government, Basil Rajapaksa, have stated before the Colombo High Courts today that they are hoping to make a request to just discharge his client without a testimony of the accused in a case filed against him and 3 others. Deputy Solicitor General Thusita Mudalige, appearing on behalf of the plaintiff, has requested the courts to notify at the next court's day whether there would be further summoning of evidence in this case. A team of lawyers, including President's Counsel Gamini Marpana, representing the accused, has informed the courts that they anticipate to file a request under the 200th clause of the Criminal Cases Ordinance to free the 4 accused without oral evidence of the accused if the Deputy Solicitor General takes measures to conclude hearing of evidence of the complainants. Meanwhile, Inspector of Police Sajit Ratnayaka, who was in charge of Unit 3 of the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division, giving evidence, said that investigations had been conducted according to a written complaint presented by the Director of the Anti-Fraud Secretariat. He added that, however, a statement was not recorded from the Director of the Crimes Control Committee Office, M.K. Ananda, who had presented the relevant complaint.
It has been decided to temporarily suspend the electorate and affiliated organizational conference organized island-wide in connection with the 4th anniversary celebrations of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The decision has been taken focusing special attention on the instructions provided by the Ministry of Health to refrain from assembly of people, taking into consideration of the dangerous situation that has arisen in the Gampaha district. A communique issued under the signature of General Secretary of the SLPP Attorney at Law Sagara Karyavasam has requested party activists to carry out activities pertaining to the empowering of branches and proposed membership promotion drive according to the instructions provided by the Ministry of Health.
Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.D. Lakshman, says that greater innovation and skills ought to be exercised by Sri Lankan entrepreneurs to find domestic products which could penetrate the sophisticated Japanese market. He made these remarks while addressing a seminar in Colombo yesterday. The seminar, under the theme of Quality Infrastructure, was organized by the Embassy of Japan in Sri Lanka in commemoration of Japan's International Cooperation Day. Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.D. Lakshman, took part in the event as a guest speaker.
From a sustainable development point of view, trade relationships are probably very great significance. In this aspect, in spite of the length of the period of relationships between us, Sri Lanka trade with Japan consistently remained in deficit against us. No doubt the structure of domestic production in Sri Lanka dictated that there was not much available to be sent in export to Japan. Under the GSP scheme of Japan, Sri Lanka's exports to Japan amounted to US $85 billion in 2019. Tea was the largest item exported to Japan under the GSP system. Meanwhile, coconut products, rubber products, chemical products, some garments, etc. were also exported to Japan under the GSP. Greater innovation and skill ought to be exercised by Sri Lankan entrepreneurs to find domestic products that can penetrate the sophisticated Japanese market. Let me end up with a lesson from Japan which I mentioned at the beginning of this address. From the position of policy importance which I hold now, I see the greatest lesson to be learned for policy guidance from Japan must be searched in the policy framework adopted by Japan for fast and inclusive and shared growth during 1945 up to 1970s.
A high-powered Chinese delegation led by former Chinese Foreign Minister and the current Communist Party Political Bureau member Yang Jiechi is expected to arrive in Colombo tomorrow. The delegation is expected to meet President Gotabaya Rajapaksa during this visit. Being the first ever Chinese visit in the South Asian region since the global coronavirus pandemic, the visit is expected to strengthen cooperation between Sri Lanka and China in the areas of combating the global pandemic and the revival of economic relations. The visiting Chinese delegation is expected to meet with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on the 9th of October. The travel bubble set up for the purpose of this important visit will confine the delegation to Colombo and restrict their engagements to only 2 meetings with the head of state and the Prime Minister under the strict health protocol prescribed by the Ministry of Health.
Minister Pavitra Vanyaraja says that the Ministry of Health is taking all necessary measures to eliminate the COVID-19 pandemic. Replying to a query raised by opposition leader Sajit Premadasa in Parliament today, she said that the people should extend cooperation by adhering to proper health methodologies. Several MPs and ministers have expressed opinions regarding the coronavirus. Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi said that they are taking measures to control COVID-19 pandemic according to specialist physicians' opinion. The minister also said that they have conducted around 4,800 PCR tests yesterday alone. The tests were conducted on close associates of the COVID-19 patients. She also said that the Neville Fernando Hospital is being used to treat corona patients.
Well, that's it from the Rupavahini news desk for tonight. Make sure you stay safe and take good care of yourself. Join us once again tomorrow at the very same time. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Good night.